Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm with the Winter Skills Adventure Program, and today we're going to talk about building an A-frame. I've arrived in the igloo area and found a nice campsite. The ideal site is mostly flat, slightly level, and free of obstacles. And if you look to this little hill in front of me to my right, this is where I've chosen to build my site. All right, the first step is going to be to prepare the snow and pack it down, and I'm going to start that process in a minute. I'm going to build my A-frame in an L shape, an entry here, and the sleeping platform will be there. So I'm going to use my skis, and I'm going to pack the snow first to get a good density, and in a minute I'll move to just my boots and make an even denser snow. Let me get started. I'm about midway finished packing down the snow. I've done it with my skis. You can also use your snowshoes. I've gone around the perimeter, and I'm wearing my backpack. It gives me a little extra weight to help densify the snow. And remember, when I do it, I don't want to stomp really hard. I just want to put some pressure on it and compact it. The next step will be to take the pack and skis off, and I'm going to do it just in my boots. We call that baby steps, and that'll really consolidate the snow. All right, I got my pack off. I've pre-packed the area with my skis and snowshoes. Now I'm using just my boots, the baby steps. I keep my ski poles too, because sometimes it's hard to keep balance as the snow crunches. The goal is just step side by side, gently, not a lot of force. Let the snow compact itself, and we'll take a couple of laps around this area to get it good and consolidated. I might have to come back with my skis or snowshoes and mend some spots that are problematic. That just depends on the snow conditions. Give me a minute, I'll get this done. We finished compacting the snow, doing the baby step, and you can see by the surface it's pretty well compacted, it's solid. I can stand on it just fine. Our next step is to wand the perimeter so no one will inadvertently walk in here, and then we're going to stay off this area and let the snow firm up, maybe 30 minutes or so. It really just depends on the conditions, but the packing and the letting the snow set for a period of time are really important steps for good quality blocks. One other thing we did in preparation for our site, it wasn't exactly level. So we did take a little bit of snow and add it to the downhill areas to produce a nice level construction area. And that should really make it simpler to build our A-frame. All right, I'm now going to start laying out my igloo, my A-frame, so I know exactly where to build it. I mentioned earlier I'm building an L-shaped. My door will be down there, and my sleeping platform will be where I am and behind me. So to lay it out, the dimensions are the length of the snow saw. So I'm going to start with a wand at each end, and then the sleeping area is roughly 3.5 snow saw lengths down. 1, 2, and 3. It's not an exact science. We'll get a chance to adjust it while we're building. All right, the A-frame is completely laid out. I'm going to start the hole where I'm going to later begin cutting blocks. The hole is down here at the end. I got out my rubber gear now. I'm going to start working a lot in the snow, and I want to make sure I'm going to stay dry, so I have my rubber gloves and glove liners on. So the starting hole will be just between these two wands and not much deeper. And the way to cut it is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I do it like that, I'm not going to break my shovel, and the blocks come out in nice square chunks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty good chunk. Just throw that snow on the side. Don't have to throw it too far away. We'll need to fill this in when we're all finished. I finished digging the starting hole, and I made it just exactly as wide as my A-frame layout. And the hole depth then is the same width, 30 inches wide and 20 inches deep, just like the dimensions on my snow saw. Now, while cutting, the end of my trench isn't very nice for cutting the first block, so I'm going to use my snow saw to just clean it up and prepare it for the first block. All right, I finished preparing the first layer inside the starting hole, and you can see it's nice and cut nice and clean, and it's at least 20 inches deep. Now I want to get ready to mark my first block, and so again, the dimensions are the snow saw, 30 inches wide, 20 inches deep, and approximately 4 to 6 inches thick. The thickness depends on the snow condition. We'll start wide, 6 inches, and that's roughly the notch of my hand to the longest finger. So I like to put my thumb and just draw a line across the snow. Reference line. Then to make it more precise, I like to lay my snow saw across, judge the angle and parallel, and I scribe myself a little line. That's the line I want to follow to cut my block. All right, I've been cutting a few blocks. I've got my trench going now, but I thought I'd go over the cutting sequence. So again, the dimensions are 30 by 20 and by 4 to 6. And we're really having success at the 4 to 6 inch, mostly the 6. And so I wanted to go over the cutting sequence. So I'm gonna mark this. Here's the 6 inch thickness. Scribe the nice line. It's got good parallelism with the block. Now to stay on course, I'm going to scribe some lines that are 30 inches wide, just like my block. That'll help me stay on track. All right. And now I'm going to start to cut the block. We're going to cut the back, the side, and then the bottom. We're going to make 2 cuts in each direction. And it's really important that the corners bisect so that the block will come out freely. Let me show you how. Second pass, give a few extra passes in the corner. This one's just a cleaning cut. All right, couple in the corner, cut the side. Right in until it bisects the line. Gently work it out. All right, one more over here. And now the bottom. Really important to get these 2 corners so the block will dry. 20 inches down. It's right about there. Only cutting in the 6 inches I need, not any deeper. Pulling it back for my second cut. There you go. Don't know if you saw it, but the block physically dropped. That tells me that all the cuts are complete and the block will be ready to come out without issue. You can see it's rocking. Now to get it out, I'm going to put my hands around it like this, lift it up, slide it to the side. All right. I'm going to give a little snow to heal it in so it won't fall out. Great. I wanted to show you one more time how to cut the block. Remember the sequence? We cut the back, the side, the bottom 2 times. but the important thing is you must hear the block drop, and you can physically see it. So I'm going to cut this block in the trench, and we're going to emphasize on the block drop. It's important because when it drops, you know it's free and you're able to take it out of the trench. That's looking good. Sweet. Notice I don't slam the handle of my snow saw into the snow. That can break the block. I'll double check the corner, make sure it's cut. Come over here and do the same thing. All right, everything's cut. I'm going to start to cut the bottom, and in this phase we should see the block physically drop, and you'll probably hear it. There it goes.
There it goes.
So at that point it indicates the block is free. I'm just moving it to test it. Looks like it has good clearance. So at this point I'm pretty confident I can take that out without breaking it. So again, I'm going to grab it in a Y position, reach underneath it, pick it up, and set it to the side. There we go, slide it back in, heel it in a little bit. All right. So I finished cutting all the blocks. The next step is to do the undercutting along all the sides where I plan to sleep. I'll cut in about 12 inches on each side and down to the sleeping level, and I'll remove that snow now before any blocks are on. It'll really make it more efficient and easier to do it now versus waiting till later. Let me show you how it's done. A couple inches below the edge, just making a line. I'm going to use the same 3 or 4 pokes to make square blocks because I don't want to lever and break the shovel. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Don't throw it too far away because we're going to need to use it to fill in the hole tomorrow. 1, 2, 3. Another good block of snow. By doing this, I'm going to increase the width of my sleeping platform and have a lot more than the 30 inches that the trench is offering. I'm now going to have maybe 48. Let me show you more in just a little bit. I've completed my undercutting. You can see on both sides quite a ways around. It really increased the area I have to sleep and live inside the structure. When we go to the building phase next, we have to be careful not to walk too close to the edge for fear we can now collapse this delicate edge that gives us some extra shoulder room when we sleep. Now I have just a few more shovelfuls to get out. Let me do that and I'll get back to you in a minute. All right, we got our first full block in place. The base is put down on that angle we cut previously, and I've made the 3 points of contact with the curve in the middle. Now I'm going to bring in the half thickness block, but I noticed the bottom isn't very nice. So I'm first going to make a nice mating base. I'm going to tip it into position. I'm going to use the saw and create a little pocket underneath for the 3 points of contact. Little ice layer there, great, feels good. And then we're going to bring them in together until they touch. Great. You move your hand there. And now I'm going to run the saw and create another angle at the top on both blocks. Maybe I'm taking 1 to 2 inches off the peak. Not too much, but enough to make, bring it in, a nice bearing surface. There we go. All right, looking good. Now the next step will be to smooth some snow along the base to help heal them in place. We just want to rub and not pound. Right now I'm not doing a very thorough job. I'm just securing the blocks in place. All right, we've been making pretty steady progress here. You can see we've been doing the zigzag, and we'll continue that along through this last bit until we get to here, and that'll complete the basic A-frame structure. The next steps then would be to close the ends, and we'll finish off the entrance trench. Show you that coming up in just a minute. All right, we've been making good progress all day. We've completed the main A-frame, and we've completed now the entrance A-frame that I wanted to build to make the L. And so at this point, everything is built, all the gaps are sealed all the way around, and I'm actually going to cut through into the main A-frame. And that'll let me have a little bit more room and a little more room. Right, we got everything done now. The backs are sealed in, the door's all ready. Nothing left really but finish all the finishing touches and move in. It's been a long day, but I'm glad I got a structure up before nightfall.
Just got to pan. Look at the finished A-frame.